I'm going to read you the first chapter of a book that I never really got very far with, but it's a nice book. I wrote the whole world. Okay, so here is the very first page. Actually, it's the first 2 pages. You guys are getting such a discount here. You're getting the first 2 pages of a book that I wrote. This is not the same book that I keep talking about, but it is a different book. Okay, it's just I found this one first, so this is the one we're doing. This is a different book. This is the first 2 pages. Tell me if you would read this book. All right, you ready? I'm nervous now. I'm nervous now. I'm nervous now. I'm nervous now. Okay, all right. I don't know. I'm shy. I've never read this to anybody. I've never shown this to anybody. I literally wrote the first 2 pages of this book and then abandoned the book. No one has ever seen this before. Okay. I even drew art for this, but only one, and it never got colored. Anyway, okay. 700 years was a cruel joke to play on hope. Centuries slipping by like sand through open fingers, with nothing to show for it but dust and silence. The plague had stolen their legacy, choking it out from under their tattered, struggling feet. Their stories and legends faded like murals on sun-bleached walls, dulling, dimming, until even those who had once known them intimately could no longer explain what had been lost. It was a compounding frustration, her relentless, bleeding, adventuring heart begged for answers to a universe she couldn't even begin to envision. Their world was a drifting, suffocating sarcophagus floating purposely through the galaxy, carrying the corpses of a long-lost hope. What had they left behind? And where were they going? If this was a ship, who was the captain? Was the central dial built, or was she born of the heavens? And why was her ephemeral form so clear to others when June herself could hardly grasp her purpose? School didn't have the answers, so she dropped out. The village elders spoke in riddles, so she stopped questioning them. But she wasn't alone in her search for meaning. Where the central dial and the mainstream currents of thought failed her, she turned to the great wood. It gave her strength, hope, a way to thrive in this coffin of abandoned potential. Anything she needed to know, it taught her. The void left by her lost family, it filled. Despite her illiteracy, her poverty, her grief, the great wood provided. It never failed in its duty as her savior and most revered deity. To a girl like her, the wild-growing vines, the conquering wood, spoke of how things should be, untamed, boundless, and free. So, she tried to live as part of it, like an unyielding root. On the outskirts of that sheet metal city, pressed against its unwarranted technological privilege, she climbed, burrowed, and explored as she pleased, as the great wood urged her to. Yet, despite her self-assured freedom, she was still limited, having never seen beyond this place, the bellows, the lair where she had been born, and most likely where she would die. As a child, her need to escape the walls of their one-room home had been a point of contention. Some things never change. If anything, that same frustration now pushed her further, to reach beyond the world she knew too well and grasp something just out of reach. And that was where things stood as she rearranged her climbing gear, stuffing it into her worn duffel bag that she had used to death, now held together by sheer stubbornness. The sound of a familiar voice pulled her from her almost compulsive organizing, and a grin broke across her face. At ease, she laughed heartily toward the shadow form in the dark. "Down here!" she called, knocking her climbing hook against the pipe to her left. The sound echoed through the space, marking her location. "Seems that way," came the reply. She smirked. "I think that one's gonna last a while. It's not good to piss off the great wood, you know," she said as she always did, without concern. The darkness was the wood's will, after all. "Did you bring your gear? Pitch or not, we're climbing." And that's the end of the first 2 pages. Thank you. I'll accept my. You can. That's all you get. That's all you get. That's all. And that was all she wrote. And that was all she wrote. There you go. That was my first page. And now we return because I am feeling shy and anxious. We return. Anyway, that's the first 2 pages of the book that I wrote that one time, and then didn't write anymore. The end. That's it. That's all you get. More, please? No. Basically, I'm sure you figured it out.
I don't need more money.
I'm sure you figured it out. But the story,
to proofread it was minor punctuation and grammar. The words and structure is sound. The tale is good. Woman means confidence in yourself.
It was basically...
Can I hire you for audiobooks?
It was basically the story about like it was like a space station
so true,
that was supposed to, or a space station spaceship, I can't remember if it was a station or a ship, but it was supposed to be finding like a second Earth or like another planet, but like basically it had completely failed its mission and the ship fell apart, and then over time nobody knows how to make it run anymore, and it became overrun by the like all of the like life apparatuses, like the gardens and whatever, like came to take over all of these ships like spaces, and so then they kind of just forgot they were even on a ship, and like so they're just kind of like living like on this dilapidated migration ship that's been overrun by nature, and yeah, that's it. That's the plot. And that there's like a group of people that are aware of it,
he casually busts out
and like that there already is a planet like Earth that they found, but they realize that they'll lose their control were they to land the ship. And so they sent it on another, they like basically hijacked, or like they like, they sabotaged the ship so that the elders could remain in control, big spoiler, and that they were going to find that out by going through the wood. And that there was like whole groups of people that had like been existing in the wood that were like cut off and all this other stuff. Yeah, it was like basically like you're living on a ship, but like actually it's like its whole world. Anyway, I'm never gonna make it, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter! I didn't get very far, so there's not as much about this story that I can tell you compared to the other one. The other one I got 1 million words in, so I can tell you like a million things about that, but yeah.
Now we need Pia to read more audiobooks.
You know what's kind of crazy?
More Jaroshi to make her able to follow her dreams.
You know what's actually really crazy though, is that since we started reading the pages on stream, I actually have been thinking a lot more about writing. And sometimes when I'm starting to fall asleep, I start thinking about stories I want to write now, and I'm just like, no, I don't have any time, and it sucks. But it is what it is. But yeah, so yeah, there you go. You got another page of a book. It's not the other book, but it's of a book.